I'm Alex English from Planet Marsh, and I'm
Hello.
joined by Toby Jepson
Hello.
from Wayward.
I spoke too soon then, didn't I? I thought I would have learned this over these years.
It's fine. It's great. So, you just come off stage at StoneDeaf Festival, and I've got to say, you're smelling rather fresh.
Yes, well, I did try, you know. Yeah, it's not very pleasant, is it, when you're sort of interviewing someone who smells like, I don't know, they've been in the sun for, which I have been.
Sorry.
For several hours.
I've been in the sun for several hours, so I might be smelling a little bit.
You're fine.
Thank you. So how did you enjoy your set on stage?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I always enjoy playing. I mean, the vast amount of the reason why I still carry on doing this is to play live. I think it's the kind of epitome of the journey. You know what I mean, making music. You know, to take it out into the public and get a reaction, and it's that old action-reaction thing that that musicians talk about a lot. But it is really important, and it sort of makes it all worthwhile. Making records is great fun, and that's where you do your sort of cerebral and your intellectual sort of stuff, But really, when you get out on the stage, it's all about the guts and the glory and connecting with people. I've always believed that this business is about people. It's not about anything else really. It's about people, and I'm no different from the person in the audience who's watching me.
Yeah. And the people love you, and they love your new band, and obviously you still have a following from your Little Angels days and the other projects you've been involved in. I would go as far as to say, you're very admired amongst them.
Oh, well, that's very nice. That's the first time anyone's ever said that to me. That's
oh, no, I think you deserve that.
Thank you.
I do.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, where you are at the moment with the band, you're working on you've got coming second album coming out in October, and you just released the latest video for the Jokes on You.
Jokes on You first song,
So can you tell us what was the inspiration behind the video?
Goodness me, how long have you got?
As long as you like. Just put a new fire in the camera, so go.
Okay, well, to try and condense it into a kind of acceptable conversation, the whole record is, essentially it's a protest record. It's not, I wouldn't call it an album, or what do we call it? It's not a record that I don't know, it's hard to describe it really. I didn't set out to make a record of protest. I didn't set out to make any kind of concept record. That's the word I was looking for, concept. But it kind of evolved like that because I make no finer point. I don't put too fine a point on it really. But I'm essentially sort of angry about what's going on around the world. I really am, and I think we're in a really difficult period in the whole of the world's history. I don't think there's ever been a time. It's unprecedented what's happening to this planet. And I think there's a real need for artists to stand up and talk about it. And I've always believed that. I've never believed it more than now because I'm in my 50s and I've got, my kids are in their 20s. I've got one who's 16 years old, going to be 17 in a month's time. And they're the people that are going to inherit this planet, not me. And so I put all my work is with a view to trying to make things better. That's what I try and do. But this time around, I let it speak for itself. I don't set out specifically to do anything. I let my muse, wherever that comes from, visit me, and I try and make sense out of it. And this time around, I've got pretty angry about things, and in my opinion, rightfully so.
Yeah, because I kind of sort of picked up on the political sort of vibe. Some of it from your last album, sort of more so now in the direction, especially with like the latest single. And I was going to say, is it sort of politically inspired by the sort of, in quotation, mishappenings of the government and stuff, and how they're...
There's all that, but it's also, I genuinely think that there's a kind of crazed mentality that's enveloping the world, and it's not just politicians, it's people.
Yeah.
And that's why I sort of wanted to sort of embed the idea of Jokes on You in the world of the clowns, because to me it seems like an awful lot of people, including people that I know, normal people that should know better, are behaving like idiots and saying ridiculous things and being xenophobic, homophobic, when I thought we were better than that, where I thought we were getting beyond this stuff, where we were actually confronting these major problems that we've all had to deal with, and obviously not specifically me, but an awful lot of minorities, and I don't know where the empathy's gone. I don't know where the common sense has gone. And I want people to take a long, hard look at themselves and say, actually, have I got a right to behave like this? No, you haven't. And it's nothing to do with being a snowflake. I hate this description.
I don't like
loathe
that.
and despise this concept that snowflake somehow sums up people who are trying to care and trying to have some empathy for others. And so that's where it all comes from. And I think, you know, that the videos are meant to be taken lightly, but they're also meant to make a serious point. We shot them in a kind of very fast fashion, so it has a kind of strange otherworldliness about it. And we've shot 4 of them, and there's 4 songs off the album that make up the whole quadrology of the tale. And if you want to look deep into it, there's a big story there. If you don't, if you just want to watch it for fun, that's there too. You know?
Yeah.
And that transfers into the album as well.
And then you've obviously got all the great styling that you've got musically, you know, if people don't want to listen to the political side, they can just enjoy the rhythm.
I'm not trying to convert anyone to anything. I'm not. What I'm trying to say is, this is my point of view, and I believe these things are important, and I want to start a conversation. I mean, I've had people email me recently that were fans and say, I can't stand it that you talk politics, and I can't. And I say, well, you know what? You don't have to stay here.
No.
You don't have to listen to my music. I'm too long in the tooth to actually want to try and please everybody. What I want to do is I want to try and make some inroads into trying to improve people's lives as best I can in my own tiny little way. And that's it.
Well, I think the thing is that people don't actually believe politics impacts on them that much, but it does in everyday
Everything's
life,
in politics.
in the smallest thing.
Politics is in everything, but why I prefer to talk about it in terms of humanism and humanity. You know, I get bored of the conversations about left and right. You know what? I'm a humanist. I believe in the rights of everybody, absolutely everybody, and it's unfair to tar one set of people with a brush just because you happen to believe that some tosser in the political world has decided that we're going to hate them, you know, and all that sort of stuff. And the rise of the right wing and the rise of this kind of strange world of you know, fake news and or whatever they want to call it, and the fact that people are now saying they don't believe scientists, and they don't believe people with intellects that have spent years studying stuff that we've all benefited from, that terrifies me actually. And we really do as a species need to take a long hard look at ourselves. We really do.
Yeah, I think it's down to sort of like people like kind of basic sort of understand or educate themselves really, sort of educate themselves more to understand politics or the use and what this government is.
Yeah, totally. And it's governments around the world. I mean, you know, look what's happening in Brazil right now. Look what's happening in Russia. You know, it's not just one set of. What it really is a kind of crazed fever that seems to be enveloping the world, based on the concept that people have got feel disenfranchised and separated from politics. And I think that's a real shame, because actually our entire existence is based on people having to make decisions for us. Would you want to be the Prime Minister of this country? Could you take those decisions? I certainly couldn't. So we have to sort of say, you know what? You know, all we've really got to do is choose the right person for the job, or as close as we can. And do you think we have right now?
I think you'd make a good mentor for the country.
Well, maybe. You know what? I think there's a you know what's great? Let's get it back to the music. This sounds terribly heavy, doesn't it?
No, it's great.
But what is important is that, you know, music has always been a place where you know, you can fly a flag, you can wave a flag. It came out of the gutter. Rock and roll was formed based in, you know, specifically out of the Second World War, where it gave a voice to the first generation of teenagers, and they wanted to talk about stuff that was pissing them off. And so that's where the Beatles and the Rolling Stones came from, and all these bands. And actually, if you want to go even further back, you know, you go back to, you know, black people, enslaved black people in America specifically, you know, using their music to talk about, to sing about their plight. And that's where this music came from. It was about the small man standing up and waving a flag and saying, I am not going to take this anymore. And this is what this whole thing is about. And, you know, when I got into rock and roll when I was a kid, it was anti-establishment. Yeah. And the saddest thing about the music business now is it actually is the establishment. And therein lies the problem. Because actually what we should be doing is talking more about the things that are problematic. Because every single band in history has done that. Everyone from Black Sabbath, you go read the Ozzy's words. You go read anything that Ozzy wrote about, especially in the early days. It was all about supporting the underdog, standing up and shouting your voice, you know, etc., etc. It goes right through the strata of this music form that we absolutely love. And that's what I want to do. And I'll do that to my dying breath.
but I think you're doing it in a good way, and it's like if people weren't like really familiar with the concept behind it and the ideas of how you created it or how the songs came about, they'd probably just hear lyrics and think, oh, this is a this is a chugging tune, I can rock out to this. That's it. So I like the way you're using your platform to deliver your message to people, and I enjoy reading your posts.
No, I don't hold back, do I? But I mean,
but it's the way that you deliver it. I think it's good. You're not forcing anybody to have an opinion to your side, but you're pointing out certain facts that we might not have been aware of, which is good.
Totally. I mean, and that's what I've always believed art is about. Art has been, look at any art form. Look at anything. Look at the Renaissance and what that conjured. And go back to any form of art, any point in history, and there's always a reason why, how it broke down the barriers and it forced a new idea through. And so this is what we're here to do. For me, it's a no-brainer. We've almost got a responsibility to talk about these things. And if people aren't interested in all that stuff, I mean, I'm not Billy Bragg. And as much as I love Billy Bragg, I'm not Billy Bragg, and I don't want to force it down people's throats at all. But I think it's.
But you're delivering the message in your own way, which I think is great, and you'll be delivering that into UK and Europe as well. You say
absolutely.
Is it Germany you've got coming up?
Well, we're doing Black Star Riders in October, the whole of the UK. Then we go into Europe with them for the German run, and I think one Swiss date. But we're looking at getting into Europe next year in a big way. So we're looking at tours at the moment, and we'll be headlining over there at some point, hopefully back end of the year, back end of next year. Festivals all next year. I mean, I've got the bit between my teeth now. I feel completely reinvigorated. I feel being an older person actually has given me a completely different approach to it. In a way that I don't feel like I have to prove anything to anyone. I've just got a lot to prove to myself, and a lot of that is about getting back out there and getting on the horse and getting back on the horse and just trying to bring something good to the world.
Great. So I've got, for a little bit of fun, here we are. I've got some random questions. So there's nothing invasive.
It's all right.
They're very straightforward. So would you like to
that jumped straight out.
So
When you read it to me, because I ain't got my glasses on.
Okay. What's in your fridge right now?
Well, I've recently got these chaps over here were like this, but for lots of reasons that people probably won't even understand. But I'm borderline vegan now, so I'm kind of, and I'm about to do the keto diet, which is very difficult when you're a vegan.
I've done that diet.
How was it for you?
It was difficult because it involves a lot of dairy and meat. Now I do like dairy and meat, but it usually leaves little yellow spots on your face, and it's not very good.
Maybe I won't do that then. But so there's very little in my fridge at the moment, apart from sort of mung beans.
I want to read the post on how you're getting on keto, vegan style.
Well, I'm giving it a go, but what I try and do is, with everything in life, is I don't take it as read that that's exactly what it should be. I think you have to find your own way with it. So so in my fridge there's certainly no meat, gentlemen. No one understands what I'm talking about, do they? They're both crying, these chaps over here. There's some blubbing going on.
More for us.
Put those ribs down.
Do you like toffee?
There goes the hamper.
I love toffee.
Do you?
I do, yeah. You got to do stuff with it though. You got to marinate it.
Can you tell me how to marinate it? Because I have tried to marinate my tofu before, and it just tastes absolutely
vile. Yeah.
Just tastes
Well, I don't know really, because actually I'm an utterly useless cook. I burn water, so it's usually my poor, long-suffering wife who cooks me stuff, and I go, can I have some of that, please? She'll cook it for me. I'd probably starve to death if I didn't look after myself.
You'd be a water vegan.
I would be, yeah. Something like that, yeah.
Well, that's great. So have you got any other message you want to share with our Plant Mush viewers?
What I want to say to everybody really is just thank you for the support. I mean, it's amazing. I started this project on the kind of premise that I didn't know what was going to happen to it. I just wanted to have some fun and have some friends around me and just take a chance. Knowing full well that this business is more difficult than it's ever been before. But the only thing that I cared about really was writing some decent songs that I could enjoy myself and hope other people would enjoy them. And it seems to have a bit of a nerve. We haven't stopped playing. We keep get invited to do amazing things like StoneDeaf. And I will continue to do it until no one gives a toss anymore.
That's great. We love that. Thank you. And thank you so much.
Thanks a
Rock
lot.
on. Cheers.
Cheers.